My name is Maryann Lwandamina, Acting Assistant Director for External Debt at the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. I have the privilege of presenting Zambia's experience on debt restructuring at this auspicious event. Allow me to commence by thanking the United Nations Human Rights Council, as well as the Office of the High Commissioner on Human Rights, for the invitation to be a panelist at the Intersessional meeting of the United Nations Human Rights Council. The theme is Integrating Human Rights into the International Financial Architectural Reforms. The opportunity to gain insights from other countries as well as share Zambia's experience in debt restructuring will provide an avenue to contribute to the reforms being undertaken in international financial architecture. Prior to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of the Republic of Zambia was on the brink of debt distress. This was as a result of ambitious infrastructure development program, combination of economic challenges which included rising inflation, slow economic growth, insufficient revenue collection, and limited fiscal space. Also, we had high debt service burden arising from the accumulation of non-concessional debt and depreciation of the local currency. The COVID-19 pandemic worsened an already critical situation. In 2020, the year that Zambia defaulted on its Eurobond payments, debt service had increased to 51.7% from 9% of domestic revenues in 2011. Essentially diverting resources away to repayment of principal and interest. As our Minister of Finance and National Planning has said, for each kwacha that was collected from revenue, the amount that was needed to service debt was 51.7 ngwe, and another 39.4 ngwe towards wages and salaries for public servants. This meant that 91.1 ngwe out of every kwacha collected in domestic revenues was committed to debt service and payment of wages and salaries. This implied that the balance of 8.9 ngwe is what remained available for all other government programs, including buying of medicines, provision of school requisites, government operations, construction and rehabilitation of roads, supporting our small-scale farmers through the Farmer Input Support Program, supporting Parliament, and supporting constituencies through the Constituency Development Fund. Allow me to briefly delve into Zambia's experience on debt restructuring under the G20 Common Framework. It is worth noting that Zambia, being among the frontier countries to use the Common Framework, will provide insight into how similar cases may be addressed in future and possibly form the basis of reforms to international financial architecture. In summary, Zambia officially defaulted in the year 2020 and successfully applied to the G20 Common Framework in 2021. Some notable milestones have been the formation of the Official Creditor Committee in July of 2022, whose financing assurances paved way for the approval of the $1.3 billion International Monetary Fund Extended Credit Facility Program. This program was approved in August, which led to the first disbursement under the program. In 2023, Zambia went through 2 IMF program reviews successfully and received the second and third disbursements, as well as reached a debt restructuring agreement with the Official Creditor Committee in July of 2023. This was formalized through the Memorandum of Understanding agreed in October of 2023 with the OCC. Engagements with our commercial and private creditors, including the Eurobond holders, has also continued. Something that will stand out in the Zambia case is the time it has taken to achieve the aforementioned milestones. It is worth noting that the current common framework does not have published guidelines, which prescribe timelines as well as provide definitions for key terminologies such as comparability of treatment. In addition, beyond the common framework, as a result of the changing creditor landscape, consideration should be given to debt initiatives that provide platforms for the different creditors to weigh in and build consensus on debt treatments. The Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable is a step in the right direction. The time that it has taken to conclude the debt restructuring is notable. As our finance minister has said, long delays in Zambia's debt restructuring have hamstrung much-needed investments, curtailed economic growth, weighed on local financial markets, and added to the living costs for the Zambian people. However, Zambia is not the only country that is facing debt challenges, and the debt problem in low-income and some middle-income economies continues to deepen post the COVID-19 pandemic. The prevailing situation has brought into question countries' abilities to attain the Sustainable Development Goals as well as uphold human rights during this period. In the case of Zambia, despite the debt challenges being faced, the government has continued to protect the most vulnerable in society through the Social Cash Transfer Scheme and other social safety nets, such as the Food Security Pack, Public Welfare Assistance Scheme, Keeping Girls in School, and the Homegrown School Feeding Programs, to mention but a few. This is in addition to other social sector interventions in the public health, wash, and education sectors. This is commendable. However, we still have a long way to go, recognizing that Zambia ranks amongst the countries with the highest levels of poverty and inequality globally, where 60% of its overall population, being 80% of the rural population, earn less than $1.90 a day. This is according to a 2022 report. So we are reaching some but not all of the poor and the most vulnerable. With regard to the 2024 national budget, the budget allocation to the social sector had a nominal increase of 18% and a 3.8% rise in real terms. The continuation of these vital interventions has been made possible as a result of support from our cooperating partners from the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, European Union, United Nations agencies, and the African Development Bank, to mention but a few. It is necessary to conclude the debt restructuring process in as soon as possible time in order to free up much-needed fiscal space, as the current debt situation and constrained liquidity poses real challenges to Zambia's human rights obligations. It would be of benefit to learn from cases such as Zambia to see how the international financial architecture may be reformed, especially with regard to sovereign debt restructuring, to incorporate not only sustainable resource mobilization, but also human rights considerations. In conclusion, despite being in a position of debt distress, Zambia is committed to making the necessary efforts to chart the way to achieve the SDGs as well as uphold human rights. As part of this effort, for example, in October, we engaged in consultation with the UN Human Rights Office on advancing the rights to food and education, including through increasing available resources to meet international human rights legal challenges. We look forward to continuing to share our experience. I thank you.